I was out on a trail run in February. I was stopped by a woman who'd gotten separated from her group and wasn't sure how to get back to the trailhead. She'd already made one wrong turn and wasn't certain that she was even on the right trail. I was going back to the same place, so we ran the last 5 or 6 miles together. We saw each other again at an event a couple of weeks later. We literally ran towards each other and hugged. I remember feeling happy and buoyant in that moment. The next week, we got together after work for a drink. And a few days later on the weekend, we went out for dinner. After dinner, we weren't quite ready to part, and so we went to an art opening. After the art opening, we went across town and went to a comedy show. And then we ended the night by listening to some late night live music where we sat at the bar together and talked between songs. I have been single for forever, and it had been a very long time since someone had captured my attention the way she had. The next week, shelter in place started. I was at home alone, not coming into contact with anyone. She wasn't having contact. After a couple of weeks, we decided that as long as we were both isolating, we could probably see each other. We've streamed movies and music, gone on hikes and bike rides. We've cooked dinner together and ordered food in. Spent a lot of time talking and laughing. Usually, when one meets someone new, the early days or weeks are spent filled with fun and activity out there in the world, being entertained with others. Often, one finds later that maybe you aren't so compatible when you're just left with each other's presence. We're doing it backwards this time. It's been fabulous spending time together, just the two of us during shelter in place. And I wonder, what will it be like for us when the world opens up again? I'm Steve, and this is my story. If you believe this is my story, you can vote for me by donating $5 to Good Samaritan Haven, which is the only homeless services provider in central Vermont.
It was one of those rare, warm February days that demands you get on your bicycle and go for a ride. I was on Rollin Irish Road. It's up in Essex, which it really does kind of roll. It's a beautiful place. And I saw a young woman, well, not young, I saw a woman who looked a little bit lost. I stopped, and it turned out she was part of a group ride, and she got separated from her companions. And since I was going towards their ultimate destination, the Green in Westford, we decided to ride together. Now, up there in Essex, Westford area, it's great. There's dirt roads, very little traffic, so you can actually ride side by side and talk. Her name was Esmeralda, and we discovered that we both really liked long bike rides and long books. I saw her a couple of weeks later at a storytelling VT event. I'm not a touchy-feely guy, but I found myself in this warm embrace, and it was wonderful. So we decided to go out on a date. Wait a minute, I thought, this is alien territory. I hadn't been in a relationship for more than 10 years, and I'm usually asleep on the floor at 9:30 at night. But it was great. We went out to dinner, and then we saw a comedy show at the comedy club, and then we sat in the back of a quiet bar in a booth, and we just talked into the early hours of the night. And so it began. But So COVID began. And we found ourselves self-isolating. We found ourselves alone, and we thought, well, we haven't seen anyone else. We might as well do this together. And it was crazy because it was as if we had been living together for forever. It was really amazing. We read long books, those long books we both liked, and we talked about them. We cooked food and we ate together. We had meandering philosophical conversations and moments of companionable silence. We went for long walks and for long bike rides. Now, it's strange because most couples get together in the context of their friends. They go out and do stuff. They meet family members, colleagues, but none of that happened for us. And so I'm a little worried. We're together. It's great right now, but what about the crucible of the real world? What's that going to mean? I don't know. Only time will tell. My name is Peter. And if you believe this is my story, then vote for me by donating $5 to Local Motion now.
So I was out for a hike in February, and I came across this guy who was obviously turned around kind of out where we were walking, and he'd somehow gotten separated from his group, and maybe had already taken a couple wrong turns, and he was just looking for the trailhead. He was just trying to get back to reunite with his group. And we realized we were both headed toward the same place, and so I said, well, just follow me, and we'll we'll head back to the trailhead together. So we walked along for maybe another mile or two, and just kind of some general chit chat along the way. And once we got to the trailhead and the parking lot, he saw his group, and so he took off his direction, and I went to my car, and I never really thought very much about it again until about maybe a week or two later. We ended up at the same event in town, and we kind of saw each other from across the room, and it was really funny. We literally just ran toward each other and gave each other a big hug like we were long lost buddies, when in reality we didn't really know each other at all. And it was I just remember it as such a warm and kind feeling. Like I felt I'd known him forever when really we had just walked a mile or so together. So we ended up exchanging phone numbers. And the following week we went out to dinner together and had a great time at dinner. And after dinner, we went to an art installation and wandered around there, and then we kind of didn't want the evening to end. So we took off from there kind of across the street and went to a comedy club. And we ended up the night at a bar where they were playing live music. And we really just talked into the wee hours of the morning in between sets, just getting to know each other. And it was such a terrific evening. And I've been single for a couple of years now, and this is really the first time I have felt that sort of connection. And it was, I don't really even know how to describe it, just very familiar and very comfortable. And it's just a really lovely time with this guy. So sure enough, just a couple of days later, the shelter in place order took effect, and we both took it very seriously and decided, he's just going to stay off in his house on his own, and I'm going to stay in my place on my own. And we decided not to see each other. So after a couple of weeks, when we had both been self-isolating, we realized it doesn't, it's really no risk for us to see one another if we've both been doing the right thing and are still kind of, still healthy at this point. So since then, we have actually spent a ton of time together, really getting to know each other. We have done a lot of things having nothing to do with the outside world. We have spent a ton of time talking. We've done a lot of cooking together. I've actually shown him how to make my favorite dishes, and he's done the same thing for me. We've scrolled through each other's Spotify playlists and compared musical tastes. And we actually even tried our hands at geocaching, which was really fun. Neither one of us had ever done that before. So we had we've just been having a really great time together. And, it's not lost on either of us that we're kind of doing this relationship backwards. Like usually the beginning of a blossoming relationship is you're out and about and you're going to your favorite bars and restaurants and you've got lots of outside stimulus and you're introducing this potential new partner to lots of your friends and vice versa. But this time it's just us, and we're getting to know each other in a really private way. So we really do kind of wonder what's going to happen when this pandemic lifts and we can get back to the real world. But I kind of think, and I really hope that everything's going to be okay. So my name is Jenny, and if you think that this is my story, please vote for me by donating $5 to Swim Across America. Thank you.